What's up, guys? Just wanted to do a quick video about the DCEU and the MCU. Not a massive comic book fan, but I'm a casual fan who'll go and watch every film. Cinema, streaming, I'll watch it. But like I say, I'm not a huge, I'm not a massive die-hard fan. But I just wanted to give an opinion on why I think the MCU has just dominated, whilst the DCEU has, sort of like been left floundering over the last decade. I mean, I think there's a very definitive reason why this has happened, and I think you can go right back to the very beginning of the MCU. Kevin Feige had a very definitive vision of how he wanted the MCU to go. If you look back to 2008, when the first Iron Man film came out, not just him, but there was definitely a planning process where they had Iron Man, then they were going to go with Captain America, Thor, then Avengers, and you can see with the timeline how it goes. If you look at the first Iron Man film, they release Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, that's before the first Avengers film, where all these characters come together. In the first Avengers film, you've got Thor, who's already established himself in a film. Incredible Hulk, although they do change actors, which is one of the few cases where the continuity is sort of like, messed up slightly, because obviously Edward Norton leaves and they bring in Mark Ruffalo. But that's one of the very few occasions where the continuity of the MCU is really sort of affected. So you've got, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Thor, the first Captain America, Winter Soldier. I'm not quite sure whether that came out before the first Avengers film. I'd have to fact check that. But there's a lot of building up of characters before that first Avengers film. They may even bring in Scarlett Johansson's character before Avengers. I think they do. I'm sure she's introduced in Iron Man 2. Now, moving over to the MCU briefly, if you look at the MCU, they debuted with Man of Steel in 2000, I think it was 2013. There's then a 3-year gap, and it goes straight to Batman vs Superman. Batman vs Superman, we haven't even seen a Batman individual movie. We've seen one Superman movie. The first film they're introduced, they're fighting each other. They introduce in that film very briefly Aquaman, Cyborg, and the Flash guy, can't remember his name, and Wonder Woman as well. None of these characters have had their own film, so they're just forced together into this, mishmash of a film in 2016, which is 3 years after Man of Steel. So you've had so why there was a 3-year gap, I have no idea. In the meantime, on the MCU, they've had the first Avengers film. They're now developing again and again and again with Iron Man 3. They've got a new Captain America film. They're introducing newer characters, Doctor Strange, all ready for Age of Ultron. This is forward thinking by Kevin Feige and other members of the MCU. The DCEU, they just did not think about this. They did not think it through. I think the main concern for them was they need to get these films out as quickly as possible, because they saw what the MCU was doing and they panicked and they forced through Man of Steel, and then whatever the delay was for Batman vs Superman, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not really way down on how things work over there, but in 2016 they released Batman vs Superman. Now everything feels forced, everything feels rushed. There's no continuity, there's no, it just feels dragging characters in at the last minute, getting them in there, trying to get them established. It doesn't work. You need to build up characters, you need to build up your fan base. You can't just force this thing. And their version of Civil War, which obviously was Captain America versus Iron Man, was Justice League. In a way, they kind of, in a way, it was kind of like their Avengers. It was kind of a mix of things, but once again, this is just a rushed film, forcing all these characters together. It doesn't work, and hence that's why we've got a 4-hour Snyder cut. Why have we got a 4-hour Snyder cut? Why do we need a 4-hour Snyder cut? How can a 4-hour film work? It's because obviously I understand there's personal reasons why Snyder left the making of this film, but bringing someone else in, why was it such a shambles? Would the MCU have made this mistake? I don't think they would have. Kevin Feige would not have overseen this sort of mess that occurred at the DCEU. And going forward, it just gets worse and worse for them. And I personally don't think the DCEU films are that bad compared to the MCU films. I think if you look at what they've produced, they have actually produced films which are on par with the MCU, and in some cases, far supersede them. Wonder Woman, the original, is a fantastic movie, and I really like Aquaman. I mean, it's got its detractors, but I think it's an enjoyable film. I actually think Suicide Squad's that bad a film. I'll do a separate video on Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey because I've got a lot to say about that. But the MCU, there's a lot of stuff in the MCU which is really, really average, and I think the MCU kind of gets a pass. Some of their stuff, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, poor, in my opinion. Don't think Doctor Strange is anything great. Ant-Man and the Wasp is flawed, in my opinion. But these films, I'm not saying they didn't get a free pass, because they did get criticism, but coming under that MCU umbrella, they do kind of get elevated slightly. I do think the DCEU is, there is a stigma to it. There's a stigma to that franchise, and as I say, it's because it all feels like the product of a franchise that was created to how do I word this, to try and basically detract from another franchise. Without the MCU, I'm not sure the DCEU would have ever even become a thing. I think it was just a case of they're making money, we need to make money, we need to combat that, and we're just going to rush out, film after film to try and alleviate what they're doing, and it didn't work, and it you can see that. And I don't know who was responsible for the MCU. I don't know who the DCEU. So I don't know who the Kevin Feige character was, but and it's not even their fault. I don't think I'd blame the higher ups. I think from the Disney coming down to MC, there's a power structure there, and they got it in place. They know what they're doing. I don't think that the higher ups, whoever owns DC, the DC extended universe, I mean, they never really thought it through, and as a result, I think they've really paid the price. So hence a 4-hour Snyder cut of a film that came out 4 years ago that nobody really gave a shit about. But obviously, the fans do now want to see this, cut. But like I say, even a 4-hour cut of a film, you shouldn't need 4 hours to tell a great film. So I know Snyder's like the golden boy for the DC EU fanboys, but a 4-hour film, I'm not having that. But anyway, that's just my take on it. As I say, if you're a hardcore fan, if you're not a hardcore fan, you may disagree with what I've said. You may agree, but at the end of the day, I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm 95% of the people who go and watch these films just a casual fan. So if I'm thinking this, then my guess is there's probably a lot of other people thinking this. So, and at the end of the day, the hardcore fans might not like it, but I'm the sort of person they are appealing to. So that's the sort of person they should be looking to get, people through the doors of cinemas. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about this, guys, because, I think I've rambled on long enough. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another video.